All right, I'm going to do I code this challenge here and walk you through my process. For this one, I think I'm going to try and build this out to a pretty high fidelity, have a lot of interaction. So this is probably going to take longer than I normally would take for one of these challenges. But the challenge we're going to do today is September 1st of 2023. And here it is. There's a lot of neat components here. And with any I code this challenge, I think the first challenge within the challenge is identifying how these different components connect to one another. So for this one, based off of some of the context here, so we have a gallery of images, we have an about section, maybe about the individual whose account this is. We also have comments here, and then we can see this person's profile and their photographer. So this leads me to kind of see this as a photo sharing app, specifically kind of like Instagram, but maybe more focused on photographers and their portfolios or kind of resumes and experience, with less of a focus on the social media part, but we'll still include that. So we'll have the gallery, which will be my gallery of photos where I can see comments that people make on them. We'll have about, which will be my experience, maybe how to contact me, stuff like that. And then we'll have another tab, and I think since gallery is duplicated twice here, I think we'll throw in a my feed tab. And this will be other people's photos where we can, click on them, see them, comment, and so forth. And then our notifications for when people reply to us or comment on our photos, and then our account where we can log out. And then these different parts, how they connect, we have the app icon. So we'll start with that. We will click it, and then we'll open up an app that has this navigation. And then these different tabs will show the different sections. And within my gallery for my photos, I'll be able to see, if I click on one of them, the individual comments that are on them, and also be able to see comments on photos in the feed. And then lastly, anytime that I click a individual profile of someone, I'll be able to follow them to have their photos show up within my feed. So it's basically how I see this flow to kind of working out, and we're going to get started. So I'm going to start here with the app icon, since that's really going to be the trigger to the entire flow. All right, so I'm going to be doing this in the VS Code IDE. You could certainly do this in iCodeThis. I'm just going to be doing this really just for like Tailwind autocomplete classes, hover to show those. And that's really it. There's really no differences here. The only slight differences will be with the Tailwind config. You'll be adding that as a script, whereas I'll have that as a separate file. But I'll also have this linked to an iCodeThis project, which will have all the code that is usable directly in iCodeThis. So first, I'm going to add some fonts here. So I'm going to add Enter from Google Sheets. Or sorry, not Google Sheets, Google Fonts. I'll add Enter from Google Fonts, paste that in, and then to make sure that's used by default, I'm going to go to Extend, do Font Family. Here we'll do Sans, and we'll do Enter. We'll also have fallback to sans serif. There we go. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm in here is set dark mode equal to class. So this will ensure that dark mode is based off of a parent element with the class of dark, rather than using what is set for the user's prefer color settings. So here we can see if I had a div and this was whatever, test class text red 500, and if it was dark we could do text blue 500. We'll also just do font bold so it's a little easier to see and make it big. So you can see it's using red, and if I had dark here, it's going to be using blue. So that's pretty much all that does. For this entire project, we are going to be doing some dark mode and light mode for everything. So be utilizing that a lot. And the other thing I'm going to do here is add a script for Alpine.js. So Alpine.js I'm going to be using for simple click events, state management, and data storage. You can definitely use this, just do vanilla JavaScript, but this just makes some of the like click event handlers just a lot simpler than having to do document, get element by ID, add event listener. But it's pretty easy to switch between the two. So we'll be using that for this project. And we're going to get started with that app icon. So we'll add a button, and within this button, we're going to be doing a span with IN for that text. And the reason I'm doing this inside a span instead of the button itself is because we're going to have two elements here. We're going to have one for the text of the app icon, and then we're going to have another one for the notification count. And I don't want both of them to be inheriting the same text property. So here, I'll be doing maybe text 5XL, font bold, and we'll increase the tracking. So we'll do tracking tighter. Looks good. Then on the button, I'll do background, maybe slate 900, and we will set this text to white. We'll also just throw in a quick padding here, like so. The overall background, we'll do background slate 950. And actually, before we go any further, what I'm going to do is set it up so I can see dark mode and light mode at the same time. That way I don't have to be toggling between the two to see how it will look within the two different view modes. So to do that, I'm going to utilize Alpine. And this, once again, could just be vanilla JavaScript. It's nothing too crazy here, but we're going to do X init. So this is on Alpine when Alpine's initialized, but you could also do this on window load. We're going to do, actually, I'm going to wrap this real quick with an element and an ID of trigger. And I'll explain why in just a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to do let dark trigger equal document get element by ID. So we're going to be getting that trigger element, and we're going to be cloning it. So we'll do clone node true. After we clone that, on that cloned element, so dark trigger, we're going to be adding a class. We're going to be adding the class of dark. So now we have a duplicated element of this one, but the duplicated element has the class of dark on it. And then we're going to be taking that element and appending it as a child to the body. So dark trigger. And here you can see that second element. So we're going to, on the body, we're going to change this to flex call for flex direction column. And then we'll add a gap, maybe 36, just to kind of space these out. And to see that one of these is utilizing dark and the other isn't, we can set this to dark. And then that's applied to the second one. And the first one is using just without dark, so light mode. And then here we can do the same thing with the text color. So dark text, and standard we'll do maybe slate 900. Sick. The next thing that we can do is set up the background so that they are more closely emulate what we'll see when we're done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove slate 950 here. And I'm actually going to do a BG gradient to bottom. And we're going to go from slate 100 to slate 950. We're going to set the color stops then both to 50%. So this will be an immediate switch between the two right at the middle. So you can see that there. And we'll update this just to be background white. Looks good. And now we can keep on styling, and we'll be able to see light mode and dark mode the entire time for this app icon. Then when we do the app itself, we'll do a similar thing. So here I'm going to do rounded XL, maybe shadow large. I'm also going to change the shadow colors just a little bit. So we'll do shadow, let's do slate 300 to lighten it. That looks good. And then on dark, of course, we don't want that. And dark mode's pretty hard to see shadows in general, so I'm actually going to set this to black to really try and have it pop a little bit more. I think that's more visible. Next up, we're going to add this icon, notification count. And for this, we're going to start utilizing Alpine. So we're going to be referencing this notification count in app icon, but we're also going to be showing it in the navigation. So we want this number to be the same, and we don't have to want to set it every time we update it in two places. So what I'm going to do is do x data, and we're going to set, notification count. We're going to set this equal to 6. And then what I can do is I'll have a new span here, and we'll do x text, which is going to set the inner text to notification count. And there it is. You can see if I change it 4, it would update there. And this is also nice for our, I guess that doesn't work. Never mind. So that's displayed there, and then we're going to style this. So we'll do class absolute. And we're going to make sure, do we have? No. So we're going to set relative on the button so that it's absolute position to that button, and do top 0, right 0. We're also going to add a background. We'll do, it looks like amber, maybe 500. Yeah. And here we'll just set maybe a width manually. This is pretty small. 6. We'll do aspect square just again. Maybe 7. Yeah. And then we'll do flex, justify, center, items, center, to make that right in the center of that element. And we'll do rounded full to make it a circle. We'll increase the font weight by doing font bold. And now we're going to offset it. We could change the top and right values, but I think instead I'm going to translate. So we'll do translate x, which is essentially doing transform translate x. So translate x, and we'll do 1/4 to do 25%. And we'll do the same amount for y, but this time we're going to be doing negative. So with Tailwind, you can do negative before any number property or number value, and it'll set it to negative. So here we are. So it's looking good so far. I actually think I'm going to do slightly different color schemes for light and dark mode. So we have the amber, and we're going to apply that to dark. So the dark mode will we'll try and follow this mockup somewhat. And then we'll do BG, let's do blue, 500. And we'll also then set the text to white when it is in light mode. Otherwise, we'll do dark text and we'll use slate again, 900. There we go. One other thing I'm going to do is you can kind of see the font weights here. It looks a lot bolder in light mode than it does dark mode. It isn't, it's just kind of how we perceive color, but to help this, I may add anti-aliased just to the body to make this a bit more legible. It does appear to reduce font weight, but I think it's more legible here. And because of that, I think I'm going to go back to this and set this to extra bold. Yeah, that looks good. So the next thing we're going to add is this kind of cutaway section. And to do that, we're just going to add a ring to this notification count. So we'll do ring. And I actually think that width is good. And we'll just set this to the background color. So we'll do slate 100. or in dark, we'll do ring slate 950. And it is so far looking good. Now let's add some really basic hover effects and focus styles. So here we're going to do hover, and we're just going to set the background color slightly different. So we'll do hover background slate 50. Do I have it set to that? Oh no, sorry. Wrong element here. So let's go back up to our button. There we go. There. And then we'll do a similar thing. Dark. We'll do dark hover BG slate 800. And if I could spell, that would help. So there we go. We'll add a transition to colors. So we'll transition into those. The next thing we're going to do is let's add a focus style. So you can see this default focus style that VS Code is using. We're going to first set outline to none to remove that. So I'm tabbing, can't see it. And then we're going to do on focus visible. This way it won't show up when we click it, as it would if we just set focus. So we'll do focus visible to only show when we tab on the keyboard. And we're going to set a ring. So here, tab. Looks good, but we're going to change the color. Once again, we're going to use our kind of theme colors we're doing here. So we'll do ring blue 500, or if it's dark, we'll do ring amber 500. And now we got that, and that looks a lot better in my opinion. And so we got hover, we got focus. We could also add a slight active style, so when we're clicking it. So a style that I like to do is just scale it slightly. So we'll scale it down to 95. So when it's clicked, it's gonna shrink. However, our transition right now is set to just colors. We could set this to only detect the background color and transform. However, I'm just gonna set all. It's a bit easier. It doesn't affect things too bad. So there it is. And that looks good. So we have this cool app icon. Next up, we're gonna set so when we click this, we show the app and this icon disappears. So to do that, once again, we're gonna use Alpine. So here we're going to set show app, and we're going to set this to false by default. So this is just setting a Boolean to false. And then what we're going to do is this button, when we click it, so at click, we're going to set show app to be not show app. So if show app is false and this is clicked, show up will be true, and vice versa. If it's true and clicked, it'll be false. And to see that, what we can do is add just an element here, div test element. Let me just make sure you can see this. So there's our element. And what we'll do is x show. So this is going to determine when this is shown. And we'll set this to show app. Now it's hidden by default. And when we click this button, it showed. Click it again, hidden, and shown. Awesome. Now we can also set the button itself to have that same property. So x show equals, but this time we're going to set it to not show app. So when we click it, it hides. And that's looking good. The next thing I'm going to do just for kind of during this development is in the body here, just add a quick button, which on click will do that same show app equals not show app. That way I can always toggle between the two without needing a button. So toggle app, show, and we'll just set this position to maybe fixed, bottom 0, right 0, background slate 800, text slate 300, P4. I don't know. So we don't really care about how this looks, but this allows us to switch between the two views, even if we don't have something on this app to go back. We probably will add eventually, but right now, I don't think I will. So that's cool. We can also just set within our X data while we're working on the app, just set this to true. That way it's shown here. And is there anything else I want to do here? I don't think so. I think we're ready to start on the app. So, cool. Let's add a couple comments here just for dev app toggle for this button. And down here, we'll set this to app icon. Just so I remember what those are. I'll minimize these since I don't really care about them too much right now. And next up, we're going to do our app. So here is our app. We're calling this an app. It could be a web page. Well, I mean, whatever you want to reference this to as. And before we go there, I think we'll stop there for right now. All right, so this is where we left off with this app icon that we can click and show our app. Next up, we're going to work on building out this app container and the navigation. So looking at this navigation, we really want to be considering mobile right away for thinking about how we build this out. And you're seeing the amount of content that's in it. If this were to shrink to a lower width, it's not all going to be able to fit. So how does that transfer over? What I'm thinking is that we hide these labels. Since those are hidden, we'll have these 3 icons. And we can actually then also maybe change these 2 icons as well. So a bell and a little user icon, so that these are all the same. We can do justify between, they'll be all spaced out. And there'll just be kind of 5 little tabs that you can click. So these will show motos on desktop, but on mobile, they'll show their own little pages with notifications and then also just basic account information. So let's start on that. So for this element, the app itself, we're going to be duplicating as well to have dark mode shown at all times. And you can see we're getting a lot of information here in our body for Alpine. And one thing that we can do is actually go down here and add a script. And within the script, what we can do is do document, or not get, add event listener. And we can see when Alpine is initialized. And when it's initialized, we can do some stuff. So when this is initialized, we will do everything that's in here. And we can remove xinit here, paste it in, save it. Now it's formatted like JavaScript, which is nice. And you can see nothing's happening. The only reason here is I'm using Astro for this when I really don't need to be, but I just need to add is inline to make sure loads. You won't need to do this if you're using the iCodeLess IDE. So now that's duplicated. Awesome. And while we're here, we can also actually move our X data down into this section as well. So we're going to build this out, and this is going to contain a lot more data. So we're also going to contain information about the navigation items, so the titles of these and the icons, so that we can loop through them and don't have to duplicate our markup. So within this, we can do Alpine data, and we can call this whatever we call here, we're going to reference in X data. So I'll strip this out and we'll just call this data as well. So we're getting our data, which is this attribute or element or function, I don't know, thing. And here we can, right here, we can just paste in our data. And now we can add all of our data here, and we don't need to include it in the body. That's all that we need in the body, which cleans up things just a little bit. And we'll just say Alpine data. Cool. Now within this, we're just going to duplicate all of this. I'll just add some spaces here to make things a little bit easier. We'll do trigger and D, and we'll do app and set this to app. And now our app should also be duplicated. There it is. Make show. Spacing looks a little weird now. I'm thinking about this. Why is that? Dark app. Make show. Not too sure, to be honest. Let's see if I adjust this gap. What happens? I'm just curious. All right, we're gonna open this in a browser and inspect and see what's going on. Here's this div. We have the app. Okay, so the app is being shown when the app should have this on it. So we'll move this here. And then also we'll move this to the trigger, to the wrapper. There we go. Now that's much better. We can increase this back up a little bit. Cool. All right, now let's work on styling this. And really we're going to be working on the navigation. So we'll just set some basic styling here for this background. This is this container, so we'll do BG and white's fine. We'll do also rounded like we did on the app icon. And you can see it's going to keep switching back to this every time we make an update that's saved. And so we actually want to go into our data and set show app to true. So on refresh, it's always going to go to true. We can remove that test element out of there. Actually, no. Sorry, just that text. And here we'll just add some padding like that. We'll do the same shadow. I'll just go up to where I have this shadow and just copy this, and on dark, shadow black. Cool. For the background, we will do background white here, and then on dark, background slate 800, 900. I think I like 800 maybe for this. It's a little lighter, and we'll leave it at 900 for now. Yeah, I think I'll leave that. Convince myself on 800. Yeah, I think there's more contrast there. Works a little bit better. So here we have this. We're going to do our layout will be flex. We'll do a gap maybe of, 8 between these items. And we'll also set width to full. Or actually we'll set that on the parent. So here we'll do class width full. And we'll set a max width, 3XL. Yeah, that looks good. All right, now we're going to work on our our navigation items. So here we're going to go into our data, and we're going to create an array called navigation. So this is navigation items, let's say. This is going to be an array of objects, and we're going to have in each object, we're going to have a title. So here we're going to do that feed one first. So we'll do feed. And then here we'll add an icon. And this we're just going to enter an SVG. So I'll go to hero icons and grab a feed. What could a feed be? A list? Looks good enough to me. And paste that in. And we're going to need to remove these new lines. Feed here. One small annoying thing here to have to do, but that's good. And now what we can do is we can loop through these items. I'm going to do just this one for now to show, and then I'll add in the other. So we can go up to where our app is. And here we can do a template. Does Emmet not have temp? No, it doesn't. All right, interesting. Template. And here we're going to do X4. And we're going to do for each nav item in navigation items. So we're going to loop through these items. And then within here, we're going to create a button, which is going to be our list item. And here we're going to have span, where our X HTML is equal to nav item icon. And we're going to have another span, where our X text is equal to nav item.title. And there we have it. Also, let's do some minor styling here. Flex, item center, gap 1. Looks good. Now we can go back down here and add our other navigation items. So we'll add 2 more. And this is going to be gallery and about. We'll grab some images for those. Gallery. Go here. Backspace, backspace. Got our photo here. And then the other one's about. So I think like edit, give us our pencil. Yeah, this guy. And we'll paste that in. Oop. And then, oops, wrong one. There we go. So now we have our items. And what's cool about this is we just need to add the Tailwind classes once, and it'll be duplicated for all these elements. So how do we want this to add? Well, first let me open up the image once again so I can reference it. All right, so we do have this active state also of one that's selected. So for that, we could do this 2 ways. We could either add, something like active true or false on each one. But I think it may just be a little easier for this, since it's nothing too crazy, is if we just do active navigation item. Let's say that. And we'll set this. We're just going to set to a title. So we'll do feed. And then we can use this within our inline styling. So we'll do, let's first set the text color. So we'll do text is going to be, let's say slate 500. That actually kind of looks good for both. And then we're going to do :class. And this is kind of shorthand to do xbind class. So we'll do class, and we'll see if the active navigation item, if this is equal to the current nav item's title, then we're going to apply these classes. Otherwise, we're going to apply these classes. So if it's active, what we'll do is we'll do text slate 900. If it is not, nothing's active navigation item. Active navigation item, feed. Should be working now. Oh, it's because I have text slate here. So if I remove that, yeah. So we'll do text slate 500. So if it is equal to the title, we'll do text slate 900. Otherwise, if it's dark, we will do text white, like so. And now we can see those 2 differences for the active item. Also, what we can do is button, when it is clicked, we will set the active navigation item equal to nav item title. And right now we can click on a different one and it'll set the new nav item. So all this is doing is reading, nav item title gallery. And when I click it, it's setting this active navigation item string equal to gallery. And then this here, check is true. So then it's showing text slate 900 and dark text white. I think I can possibly, yeah, okay, that's much better. So let's do new lines here. Don't know if you can do this with these backticks with the code editor for I code this, but this will at least make it a little bit more readable. So here we have that. And what other classes do we want to apply? Well, we want to have a hover style. So we'll do hover, but we only really need it if it's not active. So here we'll do hover slate, BG slate 100. See that here. And dark hover BG slate 700. And then we're going to add padding. This will be to all of them. We'll do px.4, py.2. Also make this rounded, maybe medium, a little bit smaller. That's looking good. I think we can decrease the gap now that we have padding. So we'll go down to maybe 4. Good. And we can see the hover style only shows when it is not active. The other thing we can do is you'll see this one, it has a cursor pointer, is we can do the same way we did this conditionally for a class. We can do disabled conditionally. So we can set disabled if navigation item is equal to nav title. So now I can't click it. And also I can focus it, which is what we want. We'll also do similar to the app icon, we'll add a transition. And we'll do all here because we're also going to do the scaling effect on active. So we'll do transition all. And then if it is not active, we will do on active scale 95. There we go. This is starting to look pretty good. What else can we do here? Oh, we can add our focus styles. So we'll do outline none. Good. And then we'll do we only want this when we can focus it. Actually, since we have disabled, we could apply this always, like to the active ones as well, but we'll just do it down here. So we'll do on focus visible ring 2, and we'll set ring 2 blue 500 and dark ring amber 500. So now we have those. And also when those are focused, I think I want to make the text a little bit darker or lighter, just have more contrast. So text slate 600, and let's copy this to dark, and this will be 400. A little bit more. 3 and 7. Let's try that. Looks good. I could do that. Maybe we'll do that on hover as well. So we'll just copy these two. Do focus visible, Command D to select the next instance of that, and do hover. Cool, looking good. Next up, what do we want to do? What if I just do ring? How big is that? Actually kind of looks better. Is that what I have here? Yeah, we just have ring. Okay, we'll do that. Next up, let's add this bottom line. So to do this, we could add a border, but since this is rounded at the very edges, it's gonna round. And I want to leave this rounded, so I'm not going to do that. Additionally, we want it to only be the width of the text here. So I think the easiest way is just do a pseudo element and style that. So we'll do, once again, this is only going to be set if it's not active. And we'll do before absolute. We're going to make sure this button has a position of relative. That way the absolute is set based off of this element. We'll do before absolute. We'll do inset x 0. We will set the height of it to maybe 1. And we'll set the background to amber 500 for dark. And oops, we also want to set bottom before bottom 0. And we want to set, if it's not dark, before BG blue 500. Looking all right. We want to make it a little bit smaller, so let's do 0.5. Yeah, looks good. And then the other thing we want to do, oh, first off, this we do want this on the active one, so we're going to move this here to there. Okay. And then the inset, we can actually change this to be, say, maybe 4. Is that what our padding is? Yeah, so our padding on the horizontal axis is 4. So we'll set inset x4 as well to be brought in that amount. And there we are. And that's looking good, but we can make it look a little bit better by adding a transition to it. So let's do before. Actually, what we can do is take all this. Yeah, let's take all this and have it set always, right? We're gonna have it set always on the element, but then if it's not active, we are going to scale it to 0. And if it is active, we are going to scale it to 100. Then we'll set before transition. Let's do all. And the only reason I'm going to do all is because we're actually going to update this to also scale or transition opacity. So let's do opacity 100. And then before opacity 0. So now you can see it's just going to grow when we click it. So we have this pseudo element that's set to the bottom. It is always there, but when it isn't active, it has 0 opacity and it's scaled down to 0. So then when we click it, it transitions to scale up 100%, both Y and X. Since it's only a couple pixels height, you can't really see that transition, but that's fine. And it also transitions opacity. And I think this is looking pretty good. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. And I think we can move on to these other elements, the bell and the user profile. So let's go here. Let's add another comment for maybe navigation. And then here we'll do notifications. All right, so here we're going to have our notifications. This will be a button. Within this, we're going to have the icon for this bell. So let's open up here icons again, grab a bell, copy this, and paste that in. Now to get this to go over to the side, we can either, let me bring this image back. So we can either add a div around these two elements and a div around this navigation items and do justify between with flex, or we can have this just all be flex, and on this bell, the first item, it's all pushed to the side, we can just do class margin left auto, and that's going to push it all the way over. So I think I'll do that just to not have to add any more wrappers. And then within here, we'll do, let me think about this. So let's do a div around this SVG, and we'll do class relative. And this is going to be so that the notification count can be positioned absolutely relative to this rather than the button. Reason being is that the button, we're going to want to do some padding on. So just to show, I'll throw in whatever, that padding, but yet we want the notification to be like right around here instead of all the way up to the side. So that's why we're doing that. So we'll add in a notification element, and we'll go up and copy what we have in the app icon. So we'll grab this here, and we may just need to make some slight adjustments. And down here, some large adjustments, I guess. So let's do, first off, new text extra small. And then we're going to do width, knock this down, 4. That looks good. And we do want this to be a bit bigger, this icon, so we'll do maybe 7. Could do 8. Yeah, we'll do 8. And then we could also adjust the stroke width, potentially. It's a lot. Maybe 1.75. That's still not. I think I'm actually fine with that. That's fine. 1.5. This is positioned there. And I think I may slightly adjust how far this is translated to X. Maybe we'll just, what's 0? Yeah, I think that's good. So since it's 0, we can just remove that completely. That looks good. We also want to change the ring color since the previously is set to the background. So here we'll do ring slate 800. And the other one we'll do ring white, like so. And then we're going to set our text colors. So we're going to do, for our SVG, we're going to do text is slate 5. It's a little darker, so 700. And then dark is text slate 300. 4. And we're just trying to find what looks right. So we'll do 400 there, and maybe 600. Yeah. We'll do that. That looks good. I think maybe we'll just do 5 on both. Nah. We'll do 4. 4 here. Okay. So that looks good. And then our button, we're going to do similar styles that we did to the other one. These elements here. And first off, you can see that these is stretched out. So what we're going to do is go up to our flex and just do item center. Since we didn't have anything set there, it was stretching to fill the height of the largest element within that flex container, which was this button because there's padding on it. But now it's back to how we want it. Let's go back to this button. And we could probably just copy a lot of the classes from this button. So we could, let's see, what do we want to copy? We can copy here. We can do hover, dark hover scale, focus ring blue, dark amber, focus visible, yes, hover before. So I think we want all these. And let's copy those classes and then paste them into our button. Let's see how that looks. And then the other thing we want to add is transition all. And I think we got duration 300 on that as well. Now we have our button. And we also want to set outline on. There we go. And we can knock down the padding just a little bit. It seems a bit excessive. So maybe 3. That looks good. Do I have, maybe I don't have any duration here. That may have been on the app icon. Let's see, duration. Nope, I don't. So we'll just remove that just so they're consistent. Yeah, makes sense. It's a bit quicker. Another thing we can do is, so you see when I hover this, that the ring is now visible. It's very subtle, but what I could do is on this button is set group, and then here do group hover and set the ring color to slate-100 and dark group hover. We'll do ring slate 700. So now, once again, you can't see that. Nope. One other thing we want to add is a transition dash colors, so it animates at the same time. Cool. Yeah, so the group class on here is just saying, hey, if there are children to this element, and they have a class that is group, any modifier such as group hover, it's going to reference that modifier on the parent class with group. So we can see here, this is saying there is this element with group, it is hovered, and then when that happens, apply the styling here. So that's what that does. We're looking pretty good here. And the last thing we're going to add here is the profile. So we'll just minimize this notifications and do profile. And here we'll do a div. We won't go to an image straight away just because of that background. Well, let me think. Actually, this is going to be a button because we want to be able to click it. Then I'll do image, and now we're going to grab an image. So let's go to Unsplash. This one looks good. I'm mainly choosing this just because of the size. It's going to fill up much of the frame. So copy the image address here. And then we're going to go here and paste that in. One thing I like to do whenever I use images from Unsplash is update this width parameter to be something that is more appropriate for the size of the image that I'm serving. So this is a pretty small image, so we could probably do 64. And this will just serve a smaller file size. Woman's with glasses smiling. Let's add an alt tag just because. Okay, now we'll do class. We're gonna do aspect square again. Use that a lot. And we'll do say width 12, rounded full, object cover. That looks good. Let's make this a little bit bigger, maybe 14. Cool. Now on the button, we're gonna add a padding of say 2, rounded full. And here we'll just set a background to, let's try slate 100 for light, and on dark, do slate 950. That's a little dark. And actually, I forgot we're on 800, so I could probably do 900 here. That looks good. I could maybe line it just a little bit. 50. I think I'll do that. This. And we'll add the same focus, the clicks. Hover, we could do a little bit different. Trying to think of what we want to do for the hover here. We could show this color kind of in the foreground as an overlay, which may help these look more consistent in how these buttons are styled. So let's do that. We'll just add another class here. We could probably do a pseudo element, we'll add another normal element here and absolutely position it. We could do pseudo, but I'll just do it as a different one just to reduce the number of classes in this button. So to div class absolute, first thing I'm going to do is set this to relative, and then absolute inset 0 rounded full. I could also just set this to overflow hidden, then I wouldn't have to do rounded full. Overflow hidden bg say slate 100, and that would cover it, but we don't want it to completely block it, so we could do opacity by doing slash say 20. That looks good. And we'll only do this on hover, but we want to do it when the button's hover. So we'll do this group again, and this time we'll do group hover. Now we have this and this. Cool. Copy this, duplicate it, and this time we'll do dark, and we'll do bg slate 900. And yeah, oh, that's because that's border. So actually this is 700, sorry. 700. I may up this bit. I may just play around with the, yeah, so this looks a lot similar, more similar. So we may just do something like that. We could even just do 100 here too. It's so bright, let's say 10. That looks good. And here we're gonna add a transition to colors. There we go. Now on this button, we're gonna add the same styles that we have here for outline, focus, hover, active. I could pull these out. You could pull these out in a separate class, but I wouldn't recommend that when using Tailwind, since the benefit of this is having reusable utility classes, so we're not generating unnecessary CSS. But we could do this with Alpine to insert these classes, or we could also, I'm an Astro, I could do it. There's a lot of different ways, but I think I'm just gonna copy and paste them in since we don't have all that many buttons here. So bing, bing, bing. And the background changes here, but I think that's actually okay. And now our focus styles. Yeah, so things are looking pretty good. And lastly, it's going to be how we make this work on mobile. So see as we shrink it down, right? So the image is getting smaller and things just go off screen. First, I'm just going to add a little padding here to the body, or margin rather. So we'll just do like MX4. That way this doesn't go all the way to the edges. And now we're going to figure out what we're going to do here. So this thing I do just icons. So that should be pretty easy. What we can do is go down to where we have this icon. So we have X icon, and we can just do class equals hidden, and small, we do block. And now hidden, or sorry, this is on, we want the icon to always show. So we'll paste this here. There you go. Looks good. The other thing that we want to do here is change these two icons. I just have icons styled like this. So I think what I'm going to do is hide these completely on mobile. So I'll do that first. So here we'll do hidden, and then let's do small block again. Block's just a default display property, so don't think we have these set to anything else, so we'll keep that. Small block hidden, so those disappear like so. And then we want additional icons here. So what we can do is add more navigation items. So let's say just do this like so, and do notifications. And then here we're going to do profile. We'll update those images in a second, but we're going to set another value on these. So we'll do, let's do mobile only. And for these, we're going to set that to true. And then we'll use this value to determine whether or not to show it on desktop. So we have mobile true, and then we can go back up here. Class. And this is where we may want to rewrite how we have these classes. So just since we're checking for a bunch of different things here, what we could do is, instead of doing it like this to see if this is true, do this, else do this, what we can do is set all of our classes in a string here, the ones we want for this property. So we will set those, and we set these when active tab, or sorry, what is it? Active navigation item. Yeah, active tab would be a better name. I'll change it after this. Active navigation item equals nav item dash title. So I think that should work if this equals this, and then we do comma. We set this when that equals that. Yeah, and then we can just do here, we'll do set all these, set all of those when, if we do this, does that make this better? No. I think we can do this actually for these ones. This. Oh, I guess that doesn't help. I'm trying to get the formatting just to look a bit better. Okay, so this if equals this, and then we set all of these ones when active navigation item is not equal title. So this replaces all of this information. And let me figure out why that isn't working. So it turns out that we can have it work if we do the backtick and then curly braces and then our classes, and then we can do new lines. At least in VS Code we can. So we have all these being applied. If this is true, And then we'll do all of these if this is true. We'll see the formatting here is a bit rough, but it's all right. And then here we're going to hide on mobile. So we'll do hide on desktop, small hidden. And we'll do this if nav item dot mobile only. There we go. So now I should see them pop up here. There we are. So that's looking good. Next thing, just gonna try and fix this formatting a little bit. This, maybe here. We'll do that there, that there, that there. It's a bit more readable. Okay. And we'll indent this to there. Cool. So the other thing we're going to do is fix the layout of these. So we'll do justify between. Justify between. Like that. And then we don't want that on desktop. Actually, it doesn't affect it at all. Which is good. Because we have margin left auto, I think. Where is that? Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right, I was going to say we have to set justify normal for on mobile, but we don't. So that's cool. So far it's looking pretty good. We're about to update these icons. So we're going to use that bell icon again. So we'll come down here, go back to hero icons, and we'll get our bell. And we will paste that in down here for notifications. Paste that in, remove these new lines. Keep clicking on that one. There we go. And you'll see our bell. And then we'll add a user icon. So here, let's go up, user. Oh, big decision here. Do we do the circle or without the circle? I think I'll do without the circle. Let's live a little. And here, paste that in, make space, remove new lines. Cool. One last thing we want to do is add back the notification account. So to do that, we could, check if title is notifications within this template and then throw it in. But we could also just update this HTML that's being passed in. So I think I'll do that. I'm going to grab actually, I may just copy the whole element here. So yeah, I think I'm just going to copy this whole thing. We'll copy all of that. And then we'll come back down here, paste that in. Backspace. Let's do this. And then we space. Okay. Make sure we add our space afterwards. That's what we need to do. And space. Sure, this is very exciting. Cool. Looks much better. And then we just want to change the size of this because we did increase that here. So we'll just copy these classes we have applied, paste those in. And then we're going to adjust the position just a little bit of this. So we're going to probably add back that translate. So we'll do translate x is 1.4. Move it over. There we go. And this is looking pretty good. So we have our desktop view. Maybe I'll adjust the, let's adjust the vertical padding just a little bit here. We can minimize this again. Go to our navigation. This we can actually change to a header, just so it's a bit more semantic. But here we'll do py maybe 1.5. That is the button. That is not the header. Psych. We'll do px8 and py 4. 6. Yeah, we'll do that. So here we are. This is where we are right now. Tab, 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 tab. So I'll have good focus styles. Can hide the app. Click it, show this. We can also add a little transition here. So where we have X show for the app, we can just do X transition. And this will, when we click it, fade it in and slightly scale it. We'll do duration 500 milliseconds to increase that a little bit. And there it is. We also, when we go back to this one, you can see it transitions out. So we can actually switch this to X transition enter. And this will be only applied when it enters. We can get a little more advanced with these transitions, which I may do later. But for now, I think this is a good stopping point. So what did we do? Well, we have our button for the app to launch it. We can launch that app and it opens this bar. Actually, first one other thing I'm gonna do here is this app. Let's set a min height just to kind of show what this may look like when we have more content in. So let's do min height, maybe 400 pixels. And sorry, let's apply that to, actually we should have, yeah, since this is just a header, we'll leave this here and we should move these classes. So we should move rounded, the background, the padding, the shadow. Let's move all of these, copy all these, paste them here. There we go. Since we did that, you'll see the dark background colors aren't working. That's because dark is applied to this app. What if I go back? Let me think. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to have this in here. And I could just do another wrapper. We'll just do that. We're gonna wrap this with a div. So we wrap that with a div. We'll set this ID equal to app. X show here. Move that. Move the transition. And now that looks good. The other thing we want to do is move our width full max width. I believe we want to do that here. Yeah, there we go. So now we have this, and then on mobile goes like this. And the one other thing we can do here is to take, so this is our app, we'll call it, and this is the container for the app. And then here is, our header. And what we're going to do with the container is we're going to do flex column. So the content will be displayed here. But actually what we're going to do is flex call reverse. That way on mobile, it's at the bottom. And then on desktop, we can just do a small flex call. So we won't leave this min height, but this is just kind of show where the content's going to be once we add it. So on mobile, we have our tabs at the bottom. And then on desktop, it switches to the navigation at the top. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, and toggle up here. So I think that's where I'm gonna leave off for this, and we will continue on in the next video. So we have our app icon, we click it, and then we have our navigation, which switches our tabs. Also based off these tabs on the active navigation item, we can then conditionally display content in this section, which we'll be doing next. And then we'll be also adding different popovers for notifications and profile. Sweet. That is all.